We dive into health, fitness, personal stories with industry leaders. That's the big one. Business owners and passionate individuals. I'm your host, Phil. And today we're going to talk a little bit of nutrition. Adam, my guest, we've been interacting for a very long time on social media. We finally got to hang out in person at the Real Coaches Summit. And then he even came to my house and we got a lift in when he was visiting some friends in a layover here in Cali. So I always open up my home to people I meet at the seminars who I connect with. And Adam is awesome. He's worked with thousands of clients over the years. He's the owner of Badger Strength. He has his own podcast, Talking Fit with Adam Badger, and I've actually been a guest on that, and I thank you for that. Adam, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to do this. I haven't been a guest on a podcast in a while, like I told you. So I hope I'm not rusty. I did have it in my mind, like, all right, I'm gonna have a cup of coffee, like right before I hop on, and then like I just was busy and didn't get to that. But I
Well,
feel good. I feel awake.
you are extremely busy individual. I just said that you work with over thousands of individuals over time. You have a corporate wellness that you were talking about earlier that's been going on for 7 years. That you go to a corporate business and you train them 3 times a week after hours, before hours, however it works for you. But I want to get into some nutrition. I had Brian Fitzsimmons on my previous episode, and we talked about building your plate. But I kind of wanted to get into why we track food and the reasons why. And the first question I'm just going to straight ask you is how does food scaling help intuitive eating habits over time?
I think that so like weighing out your food, if you do it correctly, is a very useful, invaluable tool. And if you do it incorrectly, it just becomes like another stress in your life that you don't want to do. So intuitive eating is a skill that is learned over time. So in order to build that skill, you have to actually know what portion sizes look like, what foods have more protein than others, which foods have a good fat to protein ratio, like how much, how many grams is an actual serving of peanut butter, like all these little things that you pick up that you can only really learn from weighing food. So if you look at weighing food as not a fat loss thing that you have to do, but a learning tool that you can then build intuitive eating skills, you can come into it with a much better mindset. So it helps you with intuitive eating because it actually helps you learn what portion sizes look like. Like the way I always explain to my clients is that you can't really lie about the weight of a food, but you can have a massive discrepancy if you're going by volume. So my my if I go, I'm going to have 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. My tablespoon, Phil's tablespoon, my son's tablespoon, my mom's tablespoon, your mom's tablespoon is all going to be different. There's going to be discrepancies there. But 16 grams, which is how much a tablespoon of peanut butter weighs, is 16 grams. You can't really fuck that up. So if you look at it as a way to build knowledge and help you be more accurate versus this like restrictive dictatorship that you have to live and die by, it can be very helpful. But it's very important that when you go into it, you have to either coach yourself or have someone coach you on how to do it so that you're not like obsessing over it.
And that leads me into my next question because people tend to over obsess about it. They're like, I need to track this, I need to do this, and again, it throws them off their what they're trying to do. Sometimes if it's done incorrectly, if they're not coached correctly on how to do it from the start, over time as you've been doing this, you've been coaching for at least 7 years, as we talked about. Have
11
you
total.
seen 11 total? Okay.
Yeah, 7 years. 7 years since I started my own business, but 11 years total.
That's a very long time. Again, thousands of clients over that time. Clients come and go. You've retained a bunch.
Yeah.
But what physiological effects can tracking food have on someone's relationship with food?
So like
Have you seen anything like that?
psychological
Yeah.
psychological effects. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that it really comes down to how you're approaching it, like I said, but it's kind of like anything else. You really have to just learn how to manage those emotions around it. So on one end, so for example, with me, and maybe this is a disordered pattern that I have, but I actually like enjoy weighing the food out. Like I actually dislike when I don't weigh food. And it's not because I'm obsessed with my body fat percentage. It's not because I'm trying to lose weight. It's just, as I honestly like knowing that I'm getting enough of what I need, right? So I weigh and track food because I'm trying to make sure I'm getting enough of the things I want, enough carbs, enough protein, enough calories. and I like that. I like the certainty of tracking it. So for me, I'll be honest with you, I don't track food all of the time. Honestly, right now, I don't. I still weigh out portions a lot, but I won't actually like track it in my phone. I'll just go like, okay, I know I'm getting. I know that if I eat 6 ounces, I know that if I eat 6 ounces of meat, 3 to 4 times a day, I'm gonna probably hit my protein goal, right? So I know that if I eat around, 200 grams of rice, that I'm probably getting enough carbs that meal. I know if I eat around 100 grams of oatmeal in the morning, that I'm getting around. Like I've been tracking food long enough where I kind of know my portion sizes that work for me. So for me, when I don't weigh my food, there's actually a discomfort there. Weighing the food actually makes me calmer, if that makes sense. Now,
Absolutely.
for most people, what happens is they only choose to weigh food when they have a goal attached to it. So they're like, I have to weigh this food because I'm trying to lose weight. So there's already like a stress going into it. There's a pressure on the situation. So when they don't know how to weigh something, or they're eating out, or they weigh something and they realize they've been eating way more almonds than they thought they were, there's this stress around it, as opposed to, like now I figured that out. So now I can fix that, right? So it's really about like taking ownership of it, and being and really being clear about why you're doing it. So hey, I'm doing this because I'm trying to learn about portion sizes, or I'm trying to hit a protein goal, or I'm trying to hit a calorie goal. But if you look at it as, I'm only allowed to eat, 28 ounces of almonds, and if I go over that, I screwed up and I'm doing this wrong, it's way stressful. So the psychological effects are more due to how are you reacting to the task versus like what the actual task is, because the task itself is not inherently wrong or evil or disordered, right? Like if you were making a recipe, you would measure out your portion sizes because you want to make sure you're sticking to the recipe. But as soon as there's like a calorie goal attached to it, or a protein goal attached to it, people just lose their mind, and they're like, oh my God, this is so tedious. This is so time consuming. I don't know how to do this. I'm getting overwhelmed. I hate this. It's like, yeah, because you're putting so much pressure on it. Like you're signed up for coaching, or you decided to lose weight. You set a arbitrary deadline in your head. You put a bunch of pressure on the situation. You're expecting to get this perfect in 3 days. I know I'm kind of rambling now, but like people want the certainty, because then I think subconsciously what they want is they want to go, oh, I weigh my food. I did that. I got it perfect. Now that means I'm going to lose weight. Now I can just move on and forget about this and never have to do it again. But if you go into it like, oh, this is something I'm just going to kind of continue doing for as long as it takes to get to my goal, and maybe I'm going to learn to like it, or maybe at some point I'll hit my goal and then I can back off of it. Like it's just all about like how you're approaching the situation. But I swear, like man, I hear like one more person tell me that like, oh my God, like I don't want to weigh food. I feel like it's disordered. Like I just get so like frustrated, because the other things that people will micromanage and track are just like ridiculous to me. But when it comes to their food, there's like this entitlement of, I should just be able to eat without thinking about it. And it's like, yeah, that's the long term goal. But in order to get there, you have to build some skills. Like now, I can kind of just eat food and not have. I don't obsess about food. I enjoy the healthy foods that I eat. I enjoy the portion sizes that I give myself. I don't feel restricted. I'm not trying to lose weight, but I've spent decades just earning that right by building muscle, eating pretty healthy, being active. So now I don't have to like worry about that much.
You said a lot of number of things that
A
I
lot of
really
things.
enjoyed. No, there was so many things that I really enjoyed what you said. Us being health professionals here, we don't make it important to track our food because we've built some skills over time, and that's the goal for most of our clients. Is they come to us with zero skills on how to build a plate, how to track this food, so we give them the skills. It's just as anything else, it takes time to build it.
Yeah.
Most of my nutrition stuff before I came involved with Show Up Fitness came from my good buddy Francisco Escobedo. He's very much like you. The dude can look at a piece of protein and be like, "Yep, that has this amount," because he's tracked it over time. He can do the deficits and excuse me, the deficits and the surpluses, and just track it very easy because he can eyeball it because he's built that skill. He's earned it over time. And guess what? The dude looks like a fucking Greek god. Like
Yeah.
he's just
Is he
shredded
the guy?
everywhere.
He was the one who was in Vegas with you, right?
No, no. Well, that's the other friend.
His name
Frankie
was
Escobedo.
Francisco, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. It's two Frankies now.
Okay.
Cisco is Miami, but the one that I'm talking about is actually a friend of mine from high school who's
Oh,
out over here, and actually, he needs to be kind of known in the Real Coaches Summit. The dude knows exactly what he's talking about, and like I said, I picked up most of my nutrition stuff from him before I even
Mhm.
became a coach years ago. Did I build the habits and how to track food? No, that came relatively recent within the last like 8, 9 years maybe. But prior to that, most of my nutrition and how to eat protein, carbs, fats all came from him just by watching what he was doing. I'm like, what are you doing different that I'm not doing?
Yeah,
And it just went hand in hand there. I like the fact that you also said that it's not an everyday thing or it's not a life thing. Once you build those habits, you can put that away. This is just collecting that data so we can build the habits because
yeah.
without it we can't build anything. We're just swimming in water.
Yeah, and I think it too is it's also just understanding like you have to understand like the whole purpose of what you're doing, right? So the goal of tracking your food is to learn about portion sizes so then you can build habits, right? Like that's what it should be. So if you understand the habits that you're trying to build, then you don't have to get too obsessive with the numbers. So I think that's another point that like I know I kind of came off maybe a little bit more blunt when I was answering that last question, but for most people, I tell them like, listen, like it's not that serious. Like no one has ever like not achieved their goal because they ate 37 grams of blueberries when they were supposed to eat 57 grams of blueberries, or they ate 200 grams or 167 grams of carbs a day instead of 150 grams of carbs a day. Like it's not that serious. We're just trying to learn some skills here. There's going to be just some days where you mess it up, where you don't hit your protein goal, but over time what you'll notice is you get better and better at landing in, and I like to give my clients like ranges to land within, and you'll land in those ranges more frequently. And the more frequently you do that, the what happens? Oh, you feel more regulated. You don't have to think about what you're going to eat as much because now you know what foods hit those goals. You get better results. Your hunger cues normalize. So now you start getting hungrier at different times of day, and understand like what is the actual habits we're trying to build here. Well, we're trying to build the habit of eating 3 to 4 meals a day so that you're not going long periods of time without eating and starving. We're trying to build a habit of okay, every time you do eat, the plate is relatively balanced. So at bare minimum, there's protein and produce, or protein and carb. Like that's the bare minimum. But if you have the time, you can do protein, produce, and carb. You can add some fats in there. Like you can play around with it a bit. We're just trying to build those habits. Regular meals, what's at those meals, how to manage your calories when you're eating out or traveling, and we're just building those habits. We're trying to figure this out. But and I understand, I empathize with it. I get when people start doing that, we have to undo a lot of this old wiring around. Well, I'm starting a diet. I need to be losing weight. I need to be seeing results right away. But you're learning a new skill, and learning a new skill takes some time, and you gotta learn it. It's you're gonna make mistakes. It's not gonna be perfect. But again, it seems like with food, people are just way less patient. And I think it's because in the back of their mind, whether they want to admit it or not, a lot of people are just like, okay, when can I be done with this so I can get back to what I was doing before? And it's really important to recognize, like, no, the whole point of this is so that you don't go back to doing what you're doing before because it
Absolutely.
wasn't working for you, right? It wasn't working. And I'm
One thing that
someone too who like, even as a coach, even when I was a trainer, and I knew about nutrition, there was many years where I didn't have amazing nutrition habits because I didn't have a great relationship with food, right? Like I used food as reward. I didn't like to feel restricted. I didn't like the idea of tracking my food. So I was like, perfect example. Like I did not like to track food. I thought it was stupid. I thought macros were stupid. I thought tracking food, I didn't need it, and I knew what to eat. I was fine. I wanted the freedom to eat what I wanted. I felt that I was active enough to support that, and to a certain extent, I was right because I was super active. I was on my feet all day. I was training 5 days a week, so I had a lot of flexibility. But then once I started tracking my food, I was like, oh damn, I get better results like this. And at first, it
crazy.
was annoying. It was annoying to track. And when I first tracked, I was too restrictive with it, and I got too obsessive about it. And then I had to bail myself out of that. And then I got stopped tracking for a while, and I got a little fatter again. So then I had to like diet back down, and it takes time. And I'm not saying that I wasn't like frustrated at certain points or I didn't get annoyed at certain points. That I absolutely did. But I mean, it is what it is.
One thing that you said earlier, and for my clients that listen to this, I have a small rule that I try to implement with them. You said you try to get your clients to eat 3 to 4 meals a day, and
Yeah,
that falls in line with something that I tell my clients all the time. And something I learned from Show Up Fitness. We try to go 18 out of 21 meals, protein and veggies or protein and fruit.
yeah,
That'll usually kind of even itself out, and it gives you a little free. those three extra free meals, whatever you want to call them, cheat meals, happy meals, whatever. It gives you that, and it helps you build those habits that we're talking about right now
Hmm.
within that frame of 18 to 21 meals. That's a week's worth of food, 3 meals a day, protein and veggies in each one, protein and fruit in every single one, and it should get you to where you want to be at.
Yeah, I use pretty much that same exact breakdown with my clients. I tell them since I do 3 to 4 meals, I'll tell them that, hey, you're going to eat between 21 and 28 meals this week. Like you're going to land somewhere in there. So as a general rule of thumb, I just say, hey, 1 to 3 meals a week, you could be a little bit more free. So just 1 to 3. So whether you eat 28 times a week, 21, it's 1 to 3. And if you think about it, that means 4 to 12 times every single month you can eat the pizza or eat the burger or eat the tacos or eat the ice cream and not have to worry about it.
And be free with it. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
pretty flexible. And with most people, another side of this because it is so nuanced is like you have to also be clear on like what is your goal? Because if your goal is to really just kind of like look better, feel better, lose some weight, you actually do have way more flexibility than you think, right? If you're trying to get like as lean as possible for your genetics, or you're trying to like take your body composition to the next level, like yeah, you got to be a little stricter with it. But like that's for that goal. But the problem is people try to achieve like these general fitness goals using these like extreme protocols, right? They're like, oh,
Take the armor off.
I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to feel good. I don't, and they'll always say this too, like, I don't care what I weigh. I just want to feel better, look better. But then as soon as the scale spikes up, they have a mental breakdown. But like, they'll say like, I just want to look better, feel better. Okay, cool. You don't have to be like super crazy about this stuff. Like, follow the one that Phil said: eat 3 times a day, 21 times a week, 18 of those times focus mainly on lean protein and vegetables and fruit. Like focus mainly on that. And it doesn't mean that carbs are bad or they're evil. It's just like, okay, this is probably going to be a easier way to control your calories, which is another thing, right? Like you got to choose which tactic you want to use, right? If you want a ton of flexibility, which I don't necessarily think is a good way to go about it, because if you have too many options, then you end up like just being overwhelmed and it seems harder than it is. But like, let's say you want more flexibility, then you probably got to track your food because you got to know, all right, if I'm eating this instead of this, how many more calories does it have? Is it getting me the same amount of protein? And then you'll learn skills over time. You'll be fine. If you're like, hey, listen, I can eat the same thing every day or most days, so I don't really care, then guess what? You might get by without tracking food. I could hand you a meal template and go, follow this meal template, find find 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, and 3 dinners that work for you. Just rotate through them, and then 3 times a week, kind of eat freely, and you could probably see really great results as long as you're active and exercising. So it's not that complicated.
Okay, so going off that template, I use a very similar template. Again, I learned it from Frankie Escobedo. He mixes, matches different foods, much like everybody else. And earlier we talked about starting with the skills at the very basic, at the very bottom of tracking. What common mistakes do people make when weighing their food, and how can they be avoided?
I would say, that's a good one. So, when weighing their food specifically, or just tracking in general,
We'll go with weighing their food,
weighing
since
their
we
food.
start, because that's the start of tracking, is weighing it. So
Yeah, yeah. I would say weighing your food it's kind of hard to fuck it up if you're just doing it right because like it's pretty straightforward. You just put the food on the scale and you plug in like what it is. I would say some mistakes might be the biggest mistake people make is they don't weigh they don't weigh right they track and they put oh I had a cup of rice. Well, how many grams of rice was it, right? I don't think there's a big deal if you weigh like cooked versus raw. I don't, as long as you're like specific with that. So for example, like if you are weighing out rice and you're weighing it cooked, make sure that when you're putting that into MyFitnessPal chronometer that you type in jasmine rice cooked, not just jasmine rice, because the serving size they give you on the package is based on the raw weight, not the cooked weight.
hmm
The cooked weight soaks in a bunch of water, so it's usually I would say it's generally like a 3-to-1 ratio. So 40 say 50 grams of raw rice is equal to like 150 grams of cooked rice. So like that would be one mistake. I would say not weighing out individual ingredients, right? So they're like, oh, again, this is maybe more of a tracking thing, but it's like, oh, I had a turkey sandwich for lunch. Okay, that means that honestly doesn't mean anything to me. I need to know how many ounces of turkey did you have, how many grams of cheese did you have, how many grams of mayonnaise did you put on it, how many grams of bread did you have. Like you have to track it by like the individual ingredients of the meal. You can't just be like, I had a salad, because a salad could be 1,500 calories or it could be 300 calories depending on the way you prepare it. So you got to like track by the ingredient. But those are probably the biggest mistakes I see people make, weighing their actual food. I don't honestly, unless you have some that I don't know, but I don't really have a ton of people that make like crazy mistakes in terms of like when they're actually just weighing the food. It's usually then transferring that information into the app, the MyFitnessPal chronometer, where some of the mistakes happen.
Those are small ones. I had a goofy client of mine weighed their food out in the package, so I add a little more. So I've had people
Oh,
do that. So
interesting.
take it off the package and make sure it's clean on the bowl. Make sure
Yeah.
you tear it out, so it's always at
Zero out the scale.
zero out the
Yeah.
scale. Those types of things. I was going to bring me to one of my questions. Has there been any technological advances on food scales and how they change? How people use them or anything like that, or do you just use the basic one, Amazon, $10, put it on the scale, weigh it out, let's go?
I think that's the best way to do it. I think if yeah, like the ones where they try to give you like the nutrition facts of the like anything that's like people want simple, and they try and then they overcomplicate simple. Like they'll say, I just man, like fitness is there's nutrition is so complicated. I just wish it was simple. Okay, get a $10 food scale, buy single ingredient foods, and build some meals off of that. But what about like this high protein peanut butter? What about these protein pancakes? I found this protein lasagna. I found this protein pizza. What about this food scale that does this? It's like, no, you're overcomplicating it. Like, you need a scale and then get like single ingredient foods and build meals around that. Right. So, and you have thousands of options, man. I create like a meal template for all of my nutrition clients, and I'll literally put like meal one, meal two, meal three, meal four. Here's 3 to 4 protein examples. Here's 3 to 4 carb examples. Here's how many grams of produce you should have on the plate. And I break it down for each meal. And then at the bottom of it, I go, this is not saying you have to eat these foods, but if you do follow this, you will hit your nutrition goals every day. If you start to get sick of these foods, here's a link. Here's a food group cheat sheet with 25 protein options, 20 something carb options, 20 something produce options. Go here and pick, and it has in parentheses next to all those options, this is how many grams of protein is per serving. This is how many calories per serving. Like, pick things from here and just sub things out. And then I'll still get people who are like, I don't know what to eat. Like, or I'll send them all that, and they'd be like, well, can I eat blank? And it's like some random thing that they've been. I'm like, why? Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I here? Just for 2 weeks, follow this, and then we'll talk about how to make it more interesting. But don't already start making this complicated. Like, I just gave you like a complete layout of how to do this with specific options for each meal, specific serving sizes, and all you got to do is buy the food, weigh it out, and then put it in your mouth, and then you're good.
Yep.
And people will still be like, but like I kind of like to eat, this, and it's like, yeah, that's fine, you can do that, but why are you already trying to like squeeze in your old habits into your new habits? Like, why did you hire a coach? And then on the flip side of that, I have some clients who, spoiler alert, they are see amazing results. They go, this is amazing. Thank you for this meal template. They print it out and they put it on their fridge.
Uh-huh.
And then they go,
Wow.
yeah, I just been following that meal template and it's great. I was like, yeah, cool, awesome. I'm glad that it worked for you. Like, I have more clients like that who are awesome, and they just go, oh, this is great. Thank you for doing this for me. They print it out and they use it, or they save it in their phone. They start building their meals around it, and then who knew? Those are the ones who see great results.
And again, when they're seeing those results because of those meal templates, what makes it easy about those meal templates is the way you prepare it.
Yeah,
So again, I'm not talking about meal prepping. I'm talking about ingredient prepping.
yeah.
Let's ingredient prep stuff so that we can just make those meals relatively quick and easy, and we're on with our day. I'm a big fan of planning things out. making sure I have time because get planning things gives you the freedom to do anything you want to do, right?
Yeah,
Same thing with your meals. If you plan them out, it's going to give you freedom down the road, do whatever the heck you want to do, how you want
yeah,
to eat, whatever. If you just plan it out, figure it out with your ingredients, if everything else becomes relatively easy, you just match your meal template together and you have your meal and you're on your way. For the
yeah.
people that are extremely busy, if you can nail that down, that is the biggest time saver for everything. That is the biggest game changer for everything. Not meal prepping, ingredient prepping.
But even with the meal prepping thing, like that's one, and I'm guilty of this too. Is I'll always say on my content like, oh, you don't have to meal prep, you don't have to meal prep, and I 100% admit I'm only saying that because so many people complain about meal prep that I'm trying to get them to break down that wall for them so then they can use the information. Because if I say, hey, you should go meal prep, then people get like all uptight about it. There's nothing wrong with meal prepping, right? It's actually probably very useful. You just don't have to do it,
Yeah.
but like we got to get out of this like mindset of like, oh my god, there's these evil fitness people are making me do these restrictive things. They're making me track my food. They're making me meal prep. I can't do that. I don't have time. Yeah, I get it. Like I have 2 kids. Like I don't have time for that either. I don't meal prep. Like I don't prep a bunch of meals for the week. And sometimes I'll see like like a colleague or someone who's into fitness, and then maybe they're like 26, 27. They don't have any kids yet. They and they're like, look at all the meals I prepped on a Sunday. It really didn't take that long. I'm like, yeah, I get it. But you don't have 2 kids running around your house. One of them's crying. One of them's getting into something. One of them's pulling on you. One of them's asking you to taste something. One of them's asking to help you cook. Like, there's no way I'm meal prepping on a Sunday. Like, it's not happening. So, but it doesn't mean that that person is evil for doing it. It's that just works for them. So, like,
Yeah.
you can meal prep, you can ingredient prep, but what you can't do for most people is just wake up and just go about your day and then be like, I'm going to figure my food out as I go. Like, you have to have something in place. Like, for me, to be honest with you, dude, like, most days I don't meal prep, and most times I don't even ingredient prep. But my house just only has foods that align with my goals. So like when I get done with this, I'm gonna make lunch for my daughter. She's gonna have chicken. She's gonna have fruit. She's gonna have like probably some vegetables on the side. She's only 15 months old, right? That's what she eats. And I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna eat. I'll probably eat like egg white omelet, and I'll make some sourdough toast, and I'll have some fruit with it. Like that's it. Like I don't ever sit. I never ever during the week especially go, what do I feel like eating? Like I never ask myself that question. I just eat the foods in my house and I only buy foods that align with my goals. So
I mean, if you go off of that, though, sorry to cut you off, but if you go
no,
off of that, though, and you think, since you've already built the skills of having protein, we shouldn't even be thinking of what do I want to eat. It should be thinking which protein should I be eating,
yeah.
what's going to taste good with that protein, right?
I don't even think about that to be honest with
Really?
you.
Like
Dude, I
that's
mean,
literally what's all in my head now when I think of like, all
well,
right,
yeah,
what
yeah.
I gotta
I
eat. I gotta
literally
make sure it's
just,
protein,
I
something
yeah,
protein.
oh yeah, yeah. I always, but I don't even have to think about it this way because it's just automatic. Like it's never, I'm never gonna just make like a bagel and cream cheese and eat that for lunch. Like it's just not gonna happen. I just know that no matter what I'm doing, like I'm gonna eat protein. So like if I go, like people say they don't want to have to think about food, but then they set themselves up to have to think about food. Like I don't think about food because I just go. My wife will text me and be like, I'm going to do groceries today. Like, what do you need? And my text will literally just be like rice, ground turkey, egg whites. Like that's it. And then like she'll, because I know that because she eats healthy too, so I know she's gonna buy fruit and she's gonna. But I'm never like I want this specific fruit or I want to try this recipe this week. It's just like I just need meat and carbs and some fruit
Absolutely.
laying around, and then I'll figure it out. Because I'll just
Yeah.
go, oh, I have there's ground turkey in the fridge. Okay, let me cook that up. Let me grab this bag of rice. I'll heat that up. All right, I should probably have fruit, some sort of fiber with this. So I'll either throw like maybe some sauerkraut on it, or I'll grab a banana and have it with it. Boom, that's lunch, right? Or like breakfast, I just throw oatmeal in a Tupperware, water, 2 scoops of protein powder. I just eat that every morning. Don't think about it.
You know, I think what it is, a lot of our clients, people that are older than us, they come from this era of, the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s of breakfast was a bowl of cereal. That's what
Yeah,
breakfast was.
yeah.
Like, that's what
Or
I knew what breakfast was. I needed to eat something. It was a bowl of cereal or
bowl
a
cereal
bowl of oatmeal.
or nothing or
Oh,
just coffee.
yeah.
Yeah,
So And then that's the problem is they were given these habits at such a young age. Now later on we're trying to undo those habits, and
Yeah.
this is why we're having this episode because tracking your food helps you. You need to know what you're eating. Alex McBrady and I alluded this a while back in one of my episodes. He came out with this really awesome reel that talked about his hometown, and it was like this. It was called the brown bag sale basically, and whatever you stick in that brown bag, it was $5.
Hmm.
A lot of our clients treat like a bowl of oatmeal like that. Whatever I can get in that bowl of oatmeal,
Hmm.
that's my breakfast and I'm good. Well, you're
Yeah.
probably overeating because you're not scaling it out. You're not weighing it out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's usually where you go wrong at it. And I have a couple of my buddy was notorious for that. I'll be like, that's you, dude. You overeat so much because you love oatmeal, but you just want to pile it on because you think I need to eat a fat bowl of oatmeal because that's breakfast. Well, yes, you're eating something, but it's not what we should be eating.
I
We
find
should
see
be eating protein.
I find the problem is almost I deal with is almost opposite of that, where a lot of my clients, it's like I'm not hungry in the morning. Like the food just sounds nauseating. I don't want to eat, and I'm just like, yeah, I get it, but like if you don't like what happens at 11 o'clock, oh, I'm starving, I'm ravenous, I just like I'll eat the candy in the at the at the receptionist desk, or I'll order out, and I know I try to eat healthy, but it usually ends up being like a salad and it's 1,500 calories, and then I'm get home and I'm starving, so I'm eating tortilla chips while I'm cooking dinner. I was like, okay, do you see how like if we just had that protein shake in the morning, that might not happen? Yeah, and then you get them to try it. Or I'll get people who are just like, oh yeah, like I just made toast with butter for breakfast.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm just like, I kind of want to just. Sometimes I feel like an alien. Like I'm just like, oh, is that what people do? I
In my head
forget.
right now, what I thought of, a big baseball fan. So, A League of Their Own, Tom Hanks. He just there's this part where he just wants to like choke one of his girls because she's just doing that. That's what I thought in my head of someone toasting butter. I just
Which
want to reach through and strangle you.
and just to be clear, it's not because that food is bad and it's evil, or it's just like is that really but again, but I get it because in the person's head when they're doing it, what they're thinking is they're only thinking in terms of size. So what they'll look at my breakfast and go, there's this big egg white omelet, there's this bowl of oatmeal, there's this fruit, and they're like, oh, that's so much fruit, I can never eat all that. And I'm like, yeah, but your toasted butter has almost the same amount of calories,
Yeah.
because but it's just but they're just looking at the size of it. It's like, oh well, it's just a small little thing. It's like, yeah, but you put 2 tablespoons of butter on it that you thought wasn't a lot, and then you also dumped like a cup of half and half into your coffee, which made the coffee like 300 calories. So you had a 300-calorie coffee that you like. That's another thing too. When people are like, I measure out my coffee creamer. I was like, have you looked at the like a serving size of coffee creamer is like 3 tablespoons. Like that's like me spitting in your coffee. Like it's not going to change the flavor of your coffee at all. There's if you are actually doing that, cool. I respect you, but like you're not putting 3 teaspoons of coffee creamer in your coffee, because otherwise you just fucking drink it black like I do, right? So because it's basically just spitting in your coffee. Like it's not making the flavor anything any better. So you have like a 300-calorie coffee. You got this 300-calorie piece of toast with butter on it. And what happens after you eat a piece of toast with butter? You don't feel full. It tastes really good, so like it gets you a little bit hungrier, but then you rush off to work, and then now 3 hours later you're like, I'm hungry again, but you ate a third of your calories at breakfast and you haven't even had protein yet today.
Yeah.
So for some people, I just like and I get it. This is why we get hired. So I'm cool with helping people like this. I just get frustrated when people are very resistant to the change, even though they hired you to help them change, or when people are just like, no, I know what I'm doing, I know what I got to do, and then it's like, no, but you don't, and that's okay that you don't. It's not expected of you to know it, but then sign up for the 12 weeks and work with me or Phil or someone else for 12 weeks and learn these things, then go carry it on by yourself. But my wife goofs on me a lot because uh, I'm just like I feel like an alien sometimes. I'm just like, oh yeah, people do that. Like I was like, oh, I forgot. I was like, people just like go get a slice of pizza on a Tuesday afternoon for lunch. Like who does that? Like I it's so foreign to me. But yeah, Anyway, um,
Let me ask you this,
yeah.
and this is a shout out to our friend Dahl up in Canada, who's lost, I think it was like 150 pounds. Are there any? I mean, I'm hoping that you've worked with different cultures and stuff too. I'm sure you have. Are there any cultural perspectives or cuisines where food scaling is viewed differently?
Um, Not that I'm aware of. I feel like the people who are the most resistant to it are just Americans, because
So true.
like they're just like, I don't want to have to do something that's inconvenient that makes me have to like think about something I don't want to think about, right? So it's like that's probably the most resistant to it is Americans. They're just like,
Yeah, someone just had this on their podcast the other day. They were just talking. It was someone from like Europe and someone from America. They were talking about the portion sizes and like how different it is over there. Like over there, you can sit down and have like, for instance, I don't know what they're eating, but for instance, like two tacos and be like, hey, this is a good meal.
yeah,
Here's like, fuck, we don't have our nachos, we don't have our guac on the
yeah.
side, we don't have our
And
chata,
guess
we don't
what?
have everything else with it.
Guess what? I have those same emotions. Like if I eat tacos, I want a lot of them. I want the chips. I want the margarita. Like I do want those things. I just understand where they fit in my life. So I understand that that's something that just I'm not going to do that a lot. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like going on a vacation or something like that. Like I just don't. That's not my every day. So I understand that like when I do eat foods like that, I want to be indulgent, but in order to earn that indulgence, I have to put in the time on my non-indulgent days.
Yeah.
Just like with vacation. In order to go on vacation, you got to work and you got to put money aside and or have vacation time. Then you take your vacation time. You don't work for 2 weeks. You have fun. Then you go back to work. So it's like that, but in smaller dosages throughout the year. So for me, I'm going on to Long Island this weekend with my wife and kids. When I'm there, I'm just gonna order food that I want to order. I'm gonna eat food that I want to eat. But again, because I just have these natural habits, there's gonna be protein in probably every meal. I'm probably not gonna overdo it. I'm not gonna drink a ton. Like I'm not a big drinker, so like I'm not gonna be drinking a ton of alcohol. So I'll come back on Monday and I'll understand like I'll understand that I ate differently over the weekend. Let's get back to normal, and I'll actually be like looking forward to getting back to normal. But people do that, and then they come back on Monday, and they're just like, I don't understand. I just went away for 1 weekend, and the scale went up. So yeah, well, it's gonna happen, but just gotta get back to normal.
Because you've built your habits so well over time, and you do, was to say, like, you're going to go out and binge this weekend. That's what we're going to call it for right now. You're going to go out and binge right now, and you have all these different foods. I don't know, pizzas and mashed potato. I don't know, whatever. Do you feel the difference in your body? Like how
Oh
you feel
yeah,
sluggish and just, I feel like shit, I shouldn't have ate that. Like I feel that way when I do those types of things. Or for instance, I went to the LA cheeseburger competition, the second annual one this last Sunday. And I knew going in, I wasn't going to eat four different burgers.
yeah,
I knew that. That was way too much food. That's insane.
yeah,
But I also knew like I was going to share my food. I was going to at least have a bite of every single one, a healthy bite, and enjoy it. Like I wanted to do that, but it wasn't going to be every single one. I just don't binge eat that way myself anymore
yeah.
at all. I just don't. I've never been an eater that way, but it's just self consciously I'm thinking of those things. And again, we're having this episode to help people, whoever is listening, to build those habits so they can eat freely later on down the road whenever they choose to.
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what it is, right? It's making small little concessions or trade offs now, so that you can have a little bit more freedom later. That's really all that it is. On that note, though, I do have to go because I have
I
to
was
put my
about to
daughter
say
down
that
for a
right now
nap.
too. Yeah. No, that was a
um,
perfect way to end it too. Uh,
but yeah, dude, like nutrition. I think is very very simple, and it's just learning, how to understand like what trade offs you want to make for the goals that you have, and it's not as serious as maybe the internet makes it out to be, but there are changes that need to be had. And if you're someone who wakes up regularly like not feeling great, you don't have regular hunger cues, you don't know how to get enough protein in a day, your weekends look like ridiculous, then you probably need to work on this thing if you want to, if you want the result. If you don't want the result, then you don't have to work on these things. You just can't then constantly say, I'm mad that I'm not
yeah,
seeing the results
you
I
can't
want.
complain.
Yeah.
You can't complain. Adam, I really appreciate your time. This was literally the last second. I had a cancellation earlier this morning with one of my clients. So I'm like, hey, Adam, I know if you're free, let's run a podcast. We've been trying to do this for a while. I appreciate your time, your expertise. I'm gonna drop your stuff in the show notes. But Adam Badger, everybody, good buddy of mine, give him a follow. Badger Fitness and also Talking Fit with Adam
Badger
Badger.
strength.
Bad to Strain. Sorry, Bad to Strain. Talking Fit with Adam is your podcast, or
Hmm.
I'm probably jacking that up too. But I appreciate your time, sir. I'm gonna let you go so you can go feed your little one. You have a great day and continue just posting your amazing content that you do daily, and it's the stuff that works.
Thank you, man.